Spirit photography is a phenomenon that has been documented since the late 1800s. They are photographs that allegedly show the apparition of a deceased individual, a mist-like figure, or unexplained balls of light known commonly as orbs. They usually appear alongside loved ones or within an environment of which they were familiar. Many recorded examples throughout history, though the largest examples of this strange occurrence were taken during the early days of the spiritualist movement. One pioneer of this phenomena was William H. Mumler.
Born in 1832, Mumler was originally a jeweller and engraver, while photography was just a hobby. In the 1860s, whilst he was experimenting with self-portraits, he made a remarkable discovery. When developing one of the photographs, he found what appeared to be the spirit of his deceased cousin, who had been dead for over a decade. This discovery would lead him to contact multiple news outlets, leading to enough interest that he became a full-time spirit photographer. He offered his services to all, and soon found himself in high demand, perhaps due to the huge loss of life due to the American Civil War. One of his most famous clients would be Abraham Lincoln's widow, Mary Todd Lincoln, who sought his services to see if her husband's spirit was still watching over her. Here is what he captured. So how was this possible? How did he manage to capture these apparitions? Did he have some sort of psychic ability that allowed him to connect with those who passed away? No. He was just very cunning in his deceit. The spirits were made possible due to double exposure and uncleaned plates. This meant that he was able to retain images from people who previously had a photograph taken and allow him to pass those individuals off as spirits. The fallout was immense, and Mumler was arrested and went to trial on fraud charges. One of those providing evidence against him was none other than P.T. Barnum. That's right, the man who many believe coined the term "there's a sucker born every minute" duplicated the process that Mumler used to prove that spirit photography was fraudulent. Despite all the testimonies against his photographs, the jury would acquit him as they could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that all of his works were fraudulent. He would not be the last to try out spirit photography. Born in 1863, William Hope originally had a career in carpentry before he found fame capturing spirit photography within spiritualism in 1905. Hope became so popular for his ability to capture spirits, he created his own spiritualist group located in Crewe. He would, however, find himself constantly under scrutiny by skeptics and paranormal investigators alike. The first time Hope's methods would be exposed was in 1920, thanks to an intriguing test created by a man called Edward Bush. He wrote to Hope under the surname of Wood and provided him with a photograph who he claimed to be his dead son. He received a reply titled, "Dear Friend Wood," with photographs of his son's spirit. There was one issue, however. The person in the picture was alive and well. The second exposure of his photographs would be after an investigation by one of the most famous paranormal investigators of all time, Harry Price. On the 4th of February 1922, Price, along with several members of the Society for Psychical Research, claimed to have proof that he had indeed faked his photography whilst he was being tested at the British College of Psychic Science. They concluded that he had used pre-prepared plates that contained supposed spirits which would produce double exposure onto a photograph once taken. Here are some of Hope's photographs. Do you believe they are fraudulent or genuine? Price's investigation would have repercussions, however, as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and 48 other members of the Society for Psychical Research resigned over what they believed were blatant opposition to spiritualism. Despite these exposures, William Hope would continue to be backed by those in the spiritualist movement and continue his practice of taking spirit photographs despite the reduction in demand for his services. Brown Lady is perhaps one of the most famous photographs of an alleged apparition that was taken in 1936 at Raynham Hall. It was taken on the 19th of September 1936 by Captain Hubert C. Provand and his assistant Indra Shearer who were both at the location to capture images that would feature in an upcoming article. They had already taken photographs of the staircase when Shearer saw a mist-like phenomena forming, which Proven managed to quickly capture, and then when they went to develop it, this is what they discovered. Their experiences at the Hall would be published towards the end of 1936 in Country Life magazine. This article, and subsequent others, would lead Harry Price to examine the photograph and interview both Proven and Shearer. Price was unable to catch them in any inconsistencies regarding their experience. He concluded that the incident could have been paranormal. However, this has not stopped skeptics debating how it could have been faked. One leading theory is that a small amount of grease was added to the lens to produce the outline of a figure. The Society for Psychical Research believed that the photograph had been produced by the camera leaking light onto the photographic plate. As we have seen with the photographs taken by both Mumler and Hope, the early equipment was hugely unreliable, and imperfections would frequently be seen on many photos. The interesting thing to me is that their statements were consistent and never changed. So does this lead credibility to the events, or just show how long they spent rehearsing it? What do you believe? While the popularity of spirit photography may have subsided for a time, as technology has progressed, once again there has been a resurgence in the phenomenon, particularly with the advances in digital age. The most common form of an alleged apparition are known as orbs. Some claim that these orbs are the first stages of a spiritual manifestation, while skeptics claim there are multiple rational explanations to explain these, one of which is called backscatter. Backscatter is a phenomenon often seen in photography. It is where a camera's flash catches a natural occurring anomaly, such as dust, bugs, water particles, pollen, or even simply light reflecting off a reflective surface. Now we have covered a possible explanation, let us take a minute to examine some of these types of phenomena I have captured over the years. This is one of my first and favourite captures of paranormal activity. The photograph was taken in 2018 at the Old Nick Theatre in Gainsborough. You could be forgiven at first for thinking it appears to be trying to form a human-like structure, with key points being a head, hands and feet. Is this truly a spirit manifesting? I do not believe so, but at the time I believed differently, partly due to inexperience and partly due to suggestion because of an experiment that had taken place moments prior. There is an old superstition surrounding the theatre and Macbeth that it is unlucky to say the name, so what did we do? Well, we shouted Macbeth several times and quoted the Three Witches speech to see if we could conjure up any activity. The result was this photograph. Given what we have just learned about backscatter, let's apply some skepticism to the photograph. While it may have been taken some time ago, I can still remember how dusty the stage area was. Even with the room being quite dark, you could still see the dust particles moving around. At the time, we were conducting a group photography session with the team sat at different ends of the theatre to see if we could capture any type of manifestation. The location of the team would roughly line up with the direction of the orbs, and, in theory, could just be my flash coinciding with the team's own, thus lighting up several dust particles at the same time. I will also add that the quality of the camera was not the greatest. I believe it was 8 megapixels, and it is not uncommon for low quality cameras to pick up imperfections during flash photography, but I will leave it up to you to decide. Is it a spirit, dust, or simply unexplained? Here are some more recent captures taken at the reportedly haunted Ashbourne Town Hall. Much like with the Old Nick photograph, the main hall is quite dusty once the lights go out, though to a lesser extent than that of the Old Nick Theatre. Once again, I personally believe that these are just another example of backscatter and not a manifestation of some type of spirit. These next pictures, however, have a rather different explanation. Unlike the previous photographs, which could be explained by light catching the dust or water particles, these orbs are the product of lens flare. A lens flare happens when light is scattered or flared in a lens, which in the case of these photographs is the emergency exit sign or the Wi-Fi box to the right of the door. My flash hit the illuminated sign and created the striation of light that makes it appear as a spirit light. Indeed, if you look closely enough at the orb in the picture above, you can see it takes on some of the blue light coming from the Wi-Fi box. Now to a question many of you may be asking. But if you can explain the ones you captured, why don't these lights show up in every picture that you have taken? This is indeed a good question, and one that has no true answer. There are, however, several factors to take into consideration. Here are but a few that come to mind. Movement. When taking these types of photographs, it is important to stay in the same spot to have a comparison to all the pictures you have taken, which in this case I did not. Proximity. Proximity to other light sources also has an effect. As you can see from the photographs I took, we were quite close to the light sources, such as the exit sign, whereas others were further away and showed no anomalies. Lighting conditions. Lighting conditions also played a key part. Most orbs are captured in a night setting and nothing appeared in the photographs I took with the lights on. Finally, we have our camera's flash to consider. The photographs I took that showed orbs used a flash. However, in photographs where I didn't, there were none. In the end, I'll leave it for you to decide. Are they spirits, or are they simply natural occurring phenomenon? With the rise of social media, more and more examples of spirit photography are being captured, and for now, it seems there is no end in sight to the phenomenon. Technology is always advancing, so perhaps one day we may find undeniable proof of a spirit in a photograph, but even then, we must always be skeptical. Now there are even apps that allow you to superimpose a ghost into your photograph, and even apps that use AI to create an image using your mobile phone sensors while out on a ghost hunt. Even screenshots taken during live ghost hunts have their flaws, not only due to the diminished quality of the image, but they can also lean into visual pareidolia. Pareidolia, the tendency to perceive a specific or meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern. I put no credibility into these apps or screenshots and preferred to use tried and tested methods and techniques. Thank you for watching.